I think we all took the title of this movie to be a statement when we first heard it, but now that I've seen the movie, I'm pretty certain the title is just a noun. Halloween Kills follows immediately after the events of the 2018 Halloween movie, after Laurie Strode, her daughter, and her granddaughter locked Michael Myers in their basement and set the whole house ablaze. But if 6 gunshots to the chest and falling off a balcony couldn't kill him, a house fire couldn't either. Michael brushes off the raging inferno and goes back into Haddonfield to continue his Halloween night killing spree. Once the townspeople find out that the evil that cursed their neighborhoods those 40 Halloweens before is on the loose again, they all band together, forming mobs to put a stop to the evil once and for all. In past Halloween timelines, this sort of premise has been visited in smaller forms, like we saw a small group of townsfolk throwing bricks through the windows of Michael's house in 1981's Halloween 2, and we saw a group of rednecks going after him in movie 4, but it has never gone as far as the entire town banding together to hunt him down. Add to that old victims of Michael Myers coming back into the picture, and I got quite a bit more amped for this movie than I expected I would. And one thing Halloween Kills does really well is establishing the town of Haddonfield as a character in itself. It's very believable as a small town where the residents have known each other for a long time, and they want to move past the terror that Halloween night in their town has been too closely linked with for so long. And when the terror starts happening again, the atmosphere is realistically chaotic. Crowds are panicking, the local hospital is filling up. It legit feels as if a terrorist bombing just took place, and more bombings could happen anywhere in town. While creating this atmosphere, the movie offers social commentary on how mass fear can lead to mob mentality, and about the need for composure and level-headedness in the face of devastation. Does it always land well? Sometimes. Other times it can get a bit too on the nose in the dialogue, like when expressing their disdain for how town leaders have handled this scourge, a character straight up says, "The system is broken." But while the commentary is hit and miss, I appreciated that the movie went for it. A thing that I can see disappointing for some is that Laurie Strode is out of commission for most of the movie, in the hospital trying to quickly recover from her injuries from her fight with Michael Myers earlier that night. She and Michael never share a single scene in the entirety of this movie. I didn't mind because it is clearly building to something really big between them in the next one. In the meantime, I did like the way that supporting characters from the 1978 film are reincorporated. We have Anthony Michael Hall playing Tommy Doyle, and now 52-year-old Kylie Richards returning as Lindsay Wallace. And they're going up against Michael Myers at his most menacing. Not only are his kills shockingly brutal, but never before has he been so great a threat that he might bring the entire town of Haddonfield to its knees. Along with the scares, director David Gordon Green pulls off the humor better than the last time. There is nothing in the vein of, like, the movie cutting away from the plot to 2 random cops joking about their sandwiches. Sometimes the humor is woven in with the horror in ways that have you letting out nervous laughter, and other times it's in separate moments that give you some relief from the horror. Like a few scenes with this trio of kids who are out on a Halloween night stroll. They had me cracking up quite a bit. Still, the transition from horror to comedy is abrupt on occasion, such as a sequence where a woman bleeding to death is watching as Michael is jabbing knife after knife into her husband. And then, as it goes to the next scene, the first thing that we see is a guy on stage with his ventriloquist dummy. Needs a smoother transition, don't you think? Some early scenes also could have used some rearrangement. There are 2 scenes that precede the opening credits sequence. The first is a brief scene with Lonnie Elam's son, and the second is a flashback to Halloween 1978 that shows us how Michael Myers was captured that night, as well as setting up some character motivations for the night 40 years later. That's all well and good, but even as that flashback started, I felt confused as to why they would show us 1 minute of 2018 before going to 5 or 6 minutes of 1978. It makes much more sense to just start with the flashback. However, that flashback scene is really well done. They give the picture that kind of grainier image that movies at the time had. It feels like it's straight out of the original film. In fact, the whole sequence works as something of a mini epilogue to that film, and it includes one surprise that will no doubt bring a smile to fans of the series. The movie also has a terrific soundtrack with both old and new music. Each Halloween movie has given a different sound to the John Carpenter theme, and in this case, there's this cool, eerie vocalizing playing over it. And there's a great, exhilarating new piece in a scene where Laurie's granddaughter is staring down Michael Myers as a confrontation with the two begins. I've seen some people say that this movie is full of characters making stupid decisions, but honestly, there's only one such instance that I can pinpoint. It's when Lindsay tries to escape from Michael by running into the woods and hiding. But it's not like you can't easily outrun Michael, all he ever does is walk. It's like dealing with the demon from It Follows. You can buy yourself some time by simply running far away. Now, we do later see her being taken to the emergency room, and since the only contact that Michael made with her was grabbing her by the throat for a moment, he must have done some damage to her windpipe, I guess meaning that she couldn't run for very long because she couldn't breathe at the pace needed for running. That's the argument I'd make, and beyond that, I'm really not sure what other instances of stupid decisions that detractors of this movie are referring to. The biggest issue with this movie is one that I am in agreement on with most people. I even heard one audience member say this as we exited the theater. It's half a movie stretched into a full movie. I might have been able to overlook this more if we didn't already know that there was going to be another one. Getting into some spoilers here, so if you want, you can mute the volume until the warning disappears. We get to the final showdown where Karen lures Michael into a trap, the town residents surround him with their trucks, and he picks his mask up off the ground and puts it on ready to fight. It is mildly exhilarating, but less so than it should have been, because we know that this isn't the final chapter, and therefore we know that Michael is going to beat them all to a pulp, no pun intended. And while Tommy Doyle does go out swinging just as he proclaimed he would, I don't think it was the best decision to kill him off in this movie, let alone in a rather anticlimactic way. I can understand like Marion being killed off rather unceremoniously because she was a pretty minor character in the first film. But Tommy had more of a role, and he was just a little kid enduring that night. So I feel that there should have been a bigger payoff to him once again coming face to face with that evil that scarred him for life, which in my mind would have had him lasting until at least midway through the next movie. Here's hoping that Lindsay gets that kind of treatment come Halloween Ends next year. So I could have used some payoff along with the cliffhanger as opposed to all of the payoff being saved for the next part, but still, this movie was quite thrilling and has a lot of the greatest elements in the whole franchise. I would even stretch out my neck to say that this is the best Halloween sequel ever made, as little as that says. It's Halloween time when everyone is entitled to one good scare. This ain't a bad place to get it. Scoring on the Factor Facts, I'm going to give Halloween Kills a 70%. I have to say, after a decent alternate Halloween 2 and this pretty solid third part, if Halloween Ends sticks to the landing, I won't have a problem regarding this new timeline as the official Halloween canon. Man, how are they going to defeat Michael? Are they going to take a hint from VeggieTales? You know, God is bigger than the boogeyman. So they have to contact God, but then the horrifying twist comes. They find out exactly what God is.
This is God.
That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this review helpful. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop.